Hey rockers, welcome back to the party. The underground guitar party. That's what we're here for today. Have you ever found yourself wondering what makes a budget guitar? Or is this guitar any good? It seems like it's got all the bells and whistles, but it's an off-brand or a brand I'm not really familiar with. Are you familiar with even what the big brands are offering and why there's a price difference? Does professional versus beginner or intermediate or mid-level guitar, do those terms even really mean anything? Well, if you found yourself in that situation, I'm here to help you today with a real-world example. This is a guitar I helped purchase for one of my students, specifically in my personalized buying session that we did together. This is going to allow them to get exactly the thing that it sounds like, me helping them buy a guitar for the first time. And since I work with a lot of new students and new guitar players from beginner, intermediate, and young to old, this makes a lot of sense. This is actually for an 18, 19-year-old player that's been playing acoustic guitar for quite some time, but looking to get into electric. So you might think you'd have already the chops to know what you're looking for, but even in this case, wanted a little bit of help. So we settled on this guitar right here for a couple of reasons that we'll go into, but this is a budget level guitar, and I'm going to share with you what to look for in these budget price ranges in order to determine if you're getting a really good deal. Okay, so Nashville Guitar Works, who are they? I checked them out online, and from what I can tell, they are an importer of Chinese-made guitars, specifically B-stock items that are refinished, or maybe items that are still a production run when the major labels have already fulfilled all their orders with that particular company. These come out of a center, if I believe it's AIK or AMK in Shenzhen or Shenzhen, China, one of those two places. I can't really tell which. And they appear to be, in all intents and purposes, some of the guitars made on the same machine by the same people that are making the entry-level guitars for other large brands. Now, I don't know for sure, but if you do a search, you can get those brands. I don't want to say specifically right here. But if you look at the neck and then you look at this package and you see this, you might see something in a Guitar Center, a big box store, or your local store. Looks awful lot like this. I believe they're made in a similar facility to that. That being said, does Chinese mean bad quality? Actually, I don't think so. I'm going to share with you some of my things I saw on this guitar as it was unboxed specifically. And then I'm going to share with you how I set up a guitar like this so that it plays like a dream for the student. And this should be a fun series for you, as we got several other guitars to talk about in the series. But in this particular instance, Nashville Guitar Works is actually a subsidiary of MIRC, LLC, and that seems to be out of Fulton, Tennessee, or either Nashville Guitar Works is in Fulton, Tennessee. My facts are kind of getting mixed up in my head as I'm sharing this with you now, but in other words, this is a guitar that is an import guitar that you could possibly see something similar to this on Amazon, but this guitar is not sold on Amazon. So let's go ahead and hear some chords. Okay, so out of the box, how does it sound? Just a little clean, open chords and a little bit of that pentatonic. Sounds pretty good. I think we're good to go. How do the frets feel? You know, the frets, they're sharp. You can feel them that they're sharp. Now they wouldn't hurt you. These aren't as bad as I've seen anywhere, but they're sharp on the edges and they definitely need some filing. The tops of the frets don't appear. They're pretty good. Yeah, the top of the frets seem to be shined up pretty nicely. And they don't have a lot of tool marks, which is okay. I like that. When we come down here to the saddles, we've got block saddles on a 6-point tremolo, which is pretty standard in this price range. And they're all chromed out, which is really nice. These don't look or appear to be pot metal. They appear to be stamped, which is pretty good. Now, to what quality the metal is, I don't necessarily know. We've got a 4-ply pick guard to include that tortoise on top. We've got a 5-way switch like you would expect. We've got ceramic pickups. All of these are ceramic pickups. And don't poo-poo ceramic pickups are like that. What makes your pickup harsh and nasally or soft and mellow has a lot more to do than just the type of magnet. The magnet does impact it because the magnet determines its sensitivity, but there could be some nice ceramics out there that you might enjoy. Moving over to the body appears to be poplar, and I'll check that. If it's not poplar, we'll talk about that on this in the setup part. But I can't tell if this is a veneer that's on top. It doesn't say, but it looks really quite pretty. And it doesn't appear to be a multiple piece. So if this is poplar, then it might be book matched right down the middle, or it could be a multiple piece poplar with a veneer, which would be more likely. The veneer is pretty on the front and the back. We've got that belly scoop right there. We've got a little bit of cutaway for your horns, which is pretty nice. And the body is a little bit thinner than your standard Stratocaster. Looking at the fretboard's pretty cool. I like the fretboard. Like I said, you can see those frets are kind of shiny right there. But the fretboard, they say on the website, is actually a composite material. So what does that mean for playability? I don't really think it means too much of anything. Usually the composite material is basically, thin strips of wood that are put together in a lamination and then impregnated with resin and cured, sanded, and polished to make it look like wood. It is wood. It's made of wood. But sometimes it can be dust that's compacted with a resin and then a screen print, basically, of a picture put on top of it. To me, I'm going to have to say that I think this is the former. I think this is just kind of laminated thin strips all put together, offcuts. We're talking very thin pieces that are probably put together. But I'm only suggesting that because I read the spec sheet. Had you not said anything to me, or had I not known, I would have expected it to be Paul Ferro or something like that. That's what it looks like to me. And it feels really nice. We're going to move up to the front where we have our tuning machines. Now, we just got through working with them, and they seem to be keeping tune pretty well. However long it was in the guitar store that I got it from locally, I don't know, but like I said, it was tuned up when I got there, and it has stayed in tune since I brought it home, and for the most part, seems to be doing pretty good. The tuning machines work well. On the back, they're unbranded. They're just like what you would expect, with the little offset, kind of looking like that 50s or 60s style of tuning machine, but again, doesn't say much. They are not vintage on the top by any means, and they have nice long posts that aren't staggered. We've got 2 string trees. All of these things will be things we'll talk about later when I do the setup to share with you how we actually really put this thing together so that it's real nice. What's the nut made out of? Plastic. There's an obvious upgrade path right there, which could make it work much better. And overall, I think it's got a really nice look to it. You guys tell me in the comments down below, what do you think? All right, as we get into talking about tones, I'm going to share with you 2 things at once. I've taken my tone knobs and I've set my tone knob 1 for pickup number, my neck pickup. I've set that over to all the way off. So all we're getting is this real non-presency sound. Tone number 2 has been turned all the way up for my 3rd position. So we're getting a lot of presence. And of course, in the 1st position, it's just standard. The reason that's important is as I switch through them, you'll be able to hear the tones a little bit better. And you can also switch those up however you like in order to shape your own tone. There's a lot of combinations here. I think it just helps us get through them pretty quickly. All right, that wraps it up. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the setup. Hey friends, we are back. You may not realize it, but 3 hours have passed since I last saw you. Hello. I've been using that time to set up this guitar real nicely, and I've got some thoughts to share with you. While I do that, I'm going to roll some video of me setting up the guitar, but before I share my final thoughts on this and give you some playthrough at the end so you can hear the difference, I would like to answer that first question that we asked in the beginning. What's the difference between a professional and intermediate guitar, and do you know you're getting a good deal? Like, how do you know you're getting a good deal at one of these big box stores? Well, I want to answer the first part of that question. What's the difference between a professional or an intermediate or a beginner guitar? And I think that that's mostly marketing terms based on an ideal player. A beginner may not want to spend $1,000 to buy a guitar that's going to last for forever, and have a lot of playability features and comfort features and tone features and things like that right out of the box. The reason is simple. Some people just play basketball for 1 month and then choose to model rockets for the next, and then go on to singing or something else forever. They haven't figured out what they want to do, and so a beginner guitarist may want something in that beginner line. Less expensive, easier access, not as big of a loss if you let go and change to something else. All of that said is to say this: I don't think that the term budget or beginner guitar is really important when you're looking at it. The question about this guitar, my copy of this guitar, is, do I like it? Do I think it's a good guitar? Yes, I do, actually. And in this instance, the guitar itself, this copy, was a pretty good copy. And if this is anything like the type of guitars that are usually produced by them, this is a worthy student-grade beginner guitar, using that word again, specific to someone that wants to play and not spend a lot of money. If someone wants to play and spend more money, there are guitars that they can purchase that will be better suited to them, less setup and requirement, and may give better playability and better warranty support down the road. But just out of the box for this price category, it's done a very good job of what it does. So for the next question, how do you know if you're getting a good deal? All you need to do is use your eyes, your hands, and your ears. So a couple of your senses. Look at it, okay? How do the frets feel? Are they sharp on the edges? These are things you can fix, but out of the box, are they sharp, right? Look at the tuning machines. How do they feel when you tune them, right? Don't worry so much about the strings, because if you're looking at a guitar on the wall, that's not going to be any good. You're likely going to change them right away anyways. But look at your strings. Look at the tuners. Feel them. Tune it up and down. Do you feel any slack? Okay. Look down the guitar at the neck. Look and see how that neck relief is. Is the guitar neck straight? Is it bowed forward or bowed backwards a little bit? How does it look? Feel the weight of the guitar. Shake it. Does anything rattle? You know what I mean? Move the pots, the potentiometers, move the switch. Does the switch feel solid in its movement, or does it feel loose, like it can flop around? Play the guitar. I've turned the guitar off. How does it sound? Acoustically, how does it just sound on its own? Are there any rattles that go along with that? Turn it in, plug it in. How does it sound? Okay. When these things all start adding up, you can look at it and feel and make a judgment call on your own if you think that it's going to be a nice guitar. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Now, let's talk about the tone. Okay, what does it sound like? Are you ready? Now, what did I do to this guitar to get it there? I think that the improvement is really great, and although the strings have been on it for about probably 2 hours or 90 minutes. I do feel like maybe they're still stretching. It probably takes a day or so longer for them to really fall into place. The intonation was great out of the box, interestingly enough. And I didn't have to set it even after changing the gauge of strings from light strings to regular light strings. That goes up from 9s to 10s. That gives you better pitch stability, less pitch wandering when you might be fretting a note, especially when you're learning. And that's important because if you're bending, you can bend the string out of tune, which is cool for a lot of effects and stuff like that. But when you're learning, it just kind of might sound funky. The next thing is the fret ends coming out of the box. I did a complete fret dress on here. Well, rephrase. I didn't do a fret dress, but I did address the edges. I did file several of the frets the way that I need. And if you guys want to see the longer video, you can. But of course, I did that and I spent some time polishing the tops of them. They feel really great now. I like it quite a bit. The board itself, I found out, is not as hard as I thought. It is a composite material. It looks like wood. It is made of wood, but it's a composite wood, probably a laminate and resin impermeation like we talked about. I know that it's not as strong as Palfero because I accidentally nicked the top fret up here, the first fret right there. Terrible place to do it. And I had to fix it with some super glue and some dust, right? A little nick that normally wouldn't happen. My cat ran underneath me because he was frisky playing with my cords that were down there, and it caused me to move and look. Now, the tri-corner edge of my file hit it and dug in. Not something I would expect on a rosewood fingerboard, at least not to that extent. Not something I'd seen on Palfero. Definitely not even maple. Over here it happened. So whatever this board is made out of, whatever material is, it's lighter, at least on the edge. Usually the edge is a more delicate spot. So I think that the fingerboard won't stand up over time. That's something that I don't know, and we'll have to see. The neck itself, however, is beautiful. I thought that the grain was really great. Very straight grain on the neck, one-piece neck, so I was happy with that. The fit to body pocket was really nice, although there was quite a bit of buffing compound all over it. I can't even fit my business card in there, which means pretty good. Looking on the inside, I went ahead and did a complete masking with conductive tape. So I went ahead and did that on the inside, underneath the pick guard, and on the in the actual drilled out areas. The potentiometers are the small dime size, like 15 millimeter pots, rather than the larger quarter size, like 26 millimeter pots. And the switch is a standard, like a computer board switch. Nothing terrible. This is to be expected. The pots are pretty standard. They're 250K with a 22 microfarad capacitor in there. This is standard stuff, guys. There's nothing crazy about that. And you guys saw what we were measuring on the pickups. The question is, does it sound good? That's what I want to know. And if you think that it sounds good, that's fine. Don't forget, you can totally EQ these things on your amp. So you can dial in whatever tone that you want on them. I think that these are great pickups for the price. I think they sound good in general. I did go ahead and switch out the potentiometer covers. Did you notice? What do you think? I did black ones, speed knobs. I got the hi-hats that we could put back on there if you want some. There's something else I did. I put on rotating or rolling roller trees, string trees up here. I did for both of them. That'll make it a lot easier. This is a $4 upgrade, guys. Come on. It's not a big deal if you got to spend it. I was going to replace the nut, but I didn't. It's plastic. However, which is why I was going to replace it. They've glued it in. And if I could say one thing to these guys over at Nashville Guitar Works, stop gluing this in. The reason I didn't change it is because if I wanted to bring it out, considering the material the fingerboard's made out of, and considering that on a Strat-style guitar, Tele 2, well, maybe more like Strats, this piece of wood that sticks up above the nut right there, it's really only held on by the glue and that little amount of wood. It's not much. So getting this out would have required drilling or hitting it, and that means it's easier to chip or break this piece of wood off. Not something I've wanted to do, especially considering that the fretboard seemed to be a little bit more brittle in some aspects. Again, to be determined there. Overall, I like it quite a bit. Poplar body we talked about, nice 3-ply or 4-ply pickguard tortoiseshell, and it sounds good. So all in all, I think we're good to go. Guys, I want to thank you all for watching. If you like this kind of video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and send me a picture to jam@undergroundguitarparty.com, and you can be featured with these guys right here on the outro segments. We really love all of our students and everybody that's out there. And if we can help you in any way with your guitar, all you have to do is send me an email, and I'll help you walk you through it too. You may not be in the Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area, but we can talk over email. I want to thank you for watching and remind you I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Bye for now.